Morning peeps, good morning everyone. How's everyone doing? Hopefully you guys are all doing well. Don't forget, if you're new to the channel, like, share, subscribe. We haven't done a video in a few days. My bad. I've just been so busy. Honestly, it feels like I'm spinning so many plates at the moment, which isn't a bad thing, by the way. I just need to get a bit more organized in spinning those plates. What it does mean though for this video is that this video might be a bit longer than usual because there are quite a few things that we need to catch up on. And quite a few news stories as well that I want to talk about. Let's start with the weekend's action. Let's go to Liverpool first. Nick Ball defending his WBA featherweight title against TJ Doheny. By the way, is it Doheny or Doheny? I feel like I've heard so many different pronunciations of that name in the last few weeks, but you guys know who I'm talking about. I felt like Nick Ball was very lucky not to at least have a point taken away for that kick. And don't get me wrong, I know his opponent instigated it with the headlock, but you can't just kick someone. Honestly, you can't do that. And I thought the referee was super lenient to him. And if it was the other way around, so if Nick Ball was the away fighter, I'm telling you, his opponent's getting a point taken away. And I thought the referee kind of managed that situation badly. But nonetheless, look, I felt Nick Ball struggled in the early rounds just to pin his opponent down. But eventually, once he gets to you, and once he can close that distance and you don't sort of exit in the pockets, you're in trouble. I don't care who you are. Once he gets you trapped on the ropes or gets you kind of in a neutral corner and starts bashing away, then you don't have a chance. And I felt he was just too fresh, too aggressive, and ultimately too good for his opponent. And I felt like the corner were right to kind of say, okay, enough's enough. And now we move on to what next. Obviously, you guys know that it looks like, from where I'm standing, that an Inoue fight is on the horizon. Although there is a part of me that would like to see him unify. Just so we know, okay, you are 100% the best in this weight class, and Inoue is stepping up to take on the best. And I know there are some that will say, maybe he's not the best. I mean, who are the other champions? You've got Stephen Fulton is a champion, you've got Espinoza, and you got Angelo Leo. I mean, you can't definitively say that Nick Ball is number one. You can't. I personally think he could beat those guys, but we need to see those fights. So in an ideal world, I'd at least like to see him unify once before taking on the monster. That would be nice. But there is a lot of talk about Inoue versus Nick Ball Riyadh season in the winter. So what are we now, March? Could he have one in August? I mean, is that possible? I don't know the schedules of his other opponent or the other champions, but could we maybe see that before we get to an Inoue fight, or do they not want to risk it? Because again, it looks like it's all systems go now for Nick Ball versus Inoue. Obviously, Inoue's got a fight coming up as well. But they traded messages on Instagram and Twitter. So I think both of those guys now are fully set on fighting each other. Charlie Edwards versus Andrew Kane. Horrendous. Honestly, horrendous. And let's be honest, the blame lies at the feet of Charlie Edwards. I mean, that boxing style, and look, Charlie's a good fighter, so it surprised me because when he did engage, he looked good. But that kind of boxing style, fighting on the back foot and not wanting to engage pretty much for 90% of the fight, just ain't going to win you no fans and ain't going to win you the fight. I was shocked. It was a split decision, right? I was like, how the fuck has a judge, I think it was Steve Gray, how has he seen that for Charlie Edwards? I mean, that was such a disappointing performance because Charlie's sort of been working his way back to get on sort of a big bill and, you know, just to kind of remind fans that he was once a world champion. And I think that kind of stinked the place out a little bit. So it's going to be difficult for him to come back from that, but you never know. All right, let's cross over to America. Matchroom and DAZN had a show in Orlando, headlined by Amma Williams. I do want to talk, though, about Edgar Berlanga and his opponent. I thought that was a fucking disgrace. Honestly, that was a disgrace. I'm not joking. If that opponent turned up to fight Jake Paul, I think a lot of people would be like, what the fuck's Jake Paul doing? That's how far away that opponent should be from Edgar Berlanga. And I think that's a problem. Honestly, I think that's a big, big problem. A lot of people, or at least Dana White in the last couple of weeks, has said things like boxing is broken, and it isn't broken. It's certainly fractured, but it isn't broken. But when you see things like that, you're like, okay, boxing does have a problem here. Like, you can't go from Canelo to that guy. You can't. Even when I saw him at the weigh-in, when I saw the name, because immediately what you do, you see the name, You then go into BoxRec and then you check like, okay, you know what? To be fair, I know he had this 10-year hiatus. Well, I think he spent quite a lot of that 10 years in jail, but he's had a couple of fights since then. All right, let's see. As soon as he took his top off, I was like, what are we doing? What's going on here? Why is Edgar Berlanga, who is considered one of the top dogs at 168 pounds, he is, whether you like him or not, he's considered one of the top dogs. Why is he fighting that? Like, how like, who's paying him to do that? Like, this is crazy. Like, you're paying him, and I'm guessing Edgar's getting paid quite well for that. Like, this is where boxing needs to kind of sort itself out. And it isn't just Berlanga. There's a lot of opponents that seem to fight Canelo, especially the victims. They lose, and then they kind of just do nothing. Like, where's Jamel Charlo gone? Like, Billy Joe Saunders retired, right? Did nothing. But Berlanga, because he talks quite a lot, right? Because he's very vocal, which isn't a bad thing. We kind of need that in the sport of boxing. You can't then deliver that. You can't. And you know, the question about is boxing broken? Eddie kind of revealed that Berlanga has been paid, I think it was $12 million for 3 fights. Now, if you heard that someone got paid $12 million for 3 fights, you're like, okay, that guy is a star. He's fighting great opponents. He's doing good pay-per-view numbers, and he's putting bums on seats. None of those things apply to Edgar Berlanga yet. Edgar Berlanga could be that guy. Again, I don't want to critique him too much because he could be that guy. And you don't want to kind of look back in a couple of years and say, oh, I kind of fucked up. So I'm kind of playing it safe here. He could be that guy. But those 4 things I just mentioned don't apply to Berlanga. They don't. How is he getting paid $12 million for 3 fights? Like, those maths ain't mathing. Like, he doesn't bring that value to it yet. So are we overpaying for talent because there isn't that much talent, a simple supply and demand thing, or have they completely got it wrong? And it could be a case of both, but I don't know who to blame here. I don't know if I'm pointing the finger at the matchmaker. I don't know if I'm pointing the finger at Berlanga. I guess there's a part of blame or a point of blame to both, because Berlanga is obviously so powerful now, and he is, that he surely and his team will look at, okay, this is what they've put in front of us. I know he wanted to fight William Skull. I know that's a point of conversation, but aside from William Skull, this is what they've put in front of us, and okay, him. Who chose that guy? Because whoever chose that guy needs to be kind of held responsible a bit. And again, if it isn't Berlanga, then I pass that blame to whoever chose that guy. I don't know who the matchmaker is, but you can't be fighting that level of opponent. You can't, honestly. And then he called out, or at least Caleb Plant, apologies, was mentioned to him, and he kind of, I don't know, does he want the fight? Does he not want the fight? Even Gabe Rosado had a dig at him. I think him and Rosado have gone back and forth. Fuck the fact that Rosado has double-digit defeats. Rosado would have been so much better an opponent than that guy. Like, miles better. Miles better. Would Rosado have beat Berlanga? I don't think so. I think Berlanga's a bit too big for him. Too strong, too young. But still better than that kid. Honestly, just, nah. So disappointed with that. As soon as I saw him take his top off, and I honestly baffled by it. Again, sometimes I just wonder, you know, when you hear the numbers that these fighters are getting, and there are astronomical numbers, and good luck to them. Again, the most dangerous sport in the world, good luck. I'm not trying to talk about someone else's pocket here. But you kind of like, how does that even make sense? Like, you know, like when you just do the basic math in your head, and like, okay, 1 second. So the gate is this amount, pay-per-view numbers did this amount. How the fuck does he get that and he get that and the rest of the undercard? Is anyone making a profit here? Like, is this the reason HBO said, okay, no more? And Showtime said no more? Because unless you've got a Floyd Mayweather who seems to guarantee you 1 million pay-per-view buys, then, and justifies his money, no one else really does. I don't know. Ammo Williams, good luck to Ammo, got a victory as well. I thought the scorecards, one of the scorecards, 118, 110, wasn't a true reflection of that fight. He was pushed all the way in that. Ammo still seems a little, I don't know, maybe a bit hesitant. There were times when he did throw punches in bunches, but then he kind of backed off a little bit. And maybe, look, I mean, the Hamza defeat will still be in his mind. This is now 2 wins since that defeat. You maybe have one more at that kind of level, and then you go and see what Ammo can do. Because Ammo was on the cusp. Let's not forget, in the lead up to the Hamza fight, it was the winner of that fight for a world title, which Hamza did. So you don't want to drop Ammo that far down. He was that close to being in world title mix, world title contention. So let's see if he can do. I mean, could he beat Alam Kanali? I doubt it. Could he beat Carlos Adames? I doubt that. But you never know. You never know. There was a fight card as well. I think it was on Sunday. at, in MSG, obviously the small room in MSG, headlined by CALLUM, WALSH, who obviously looks like Dana White and TKO are getting behind. He seems to be their thing. Ariel Hawani asked me whether or not I think how good is he? And I'm like, it's impossible to tell. I think that was his 13th fight and 11th knockout. But who are you trying to trick? I mean, you know what it is? If you are someone that's not into boxing like we are, and you look at the record, like, oh, he's definitely going to be a star, but we obviously look at who they're fighting. So those records don't deceive us. So I will reserve judgment until I see him step up against someone of note. And then once we see that, and then we'll decide how good he is. I will say this, though. He's in a red-hot division. 154 ain't no joke. 154 ain't no joke. I mean, forget the world champions. Look at the guys that don't have belts. Look at the motherfuckers that don't have belts, like proper belt. Like Virgil Ortiz doesn't have a belt. You know what I mean? Like Xander Zayas doesn't have a belt. These are the guys you've got to get, like, so forget the champions for a second. The fuckers just below them. And then the ones just below them. And then that's where CALLUM Walsh feels. So we'll see. I felt so sorry for Thomas Carty. Obviously, look, blew his knee out. Don't know what that means. He tried to continue, which I guess would have worsened it. I mean, but you've got to continue, right? I don't know what injury it is yet, so it's difficult for me to say he'll be back when and will he be back. I mean, he's a bit of a mover, isn't he? So that's the worst thing for a mover. Obviously, we saw Beterbiev come back from a knee injury, but I don't know if it was like that. He literally looked like he blew his knee out. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. All right. Boxing done. Let's dive into some news. Where are we? New opponent, new weight, and new promoter. George Kambosos Jr. is refreshed. Yeah. Obviously, his opponent pulled out lastminute.com. They have got a young kid in. What's his name? Is it Wiley or something? Let's have a quick look. But it's good that they've got someone in. Obviously, look, this is the Kambosos show. Although, you have to admit that Brown and Nicholson are stealing the show. Apologies. I went onto the wrong page. I think his opponent's got a decent knockout record. But again, at what level? But this is like the jackpot for his opponent. I mean, you're fighting George Kambosos in Australia. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't get any bigger than that, does it? Jake Wiley, who is 16-1 with 15 knockouts, 24 years of age. Last fought. Okay, he's fresh. This is good. I like this. Last fought the 26th of February. Wow, he's really fresh. In 3 rounds, Doctor has stopped the fight due to an accidental head clash that cut his opponent's eye. So look, he's good to go. Interesting. I like it. Again, it isn't get ready, it's stay ready. So we'll see what George Kambosos can do. Look, for George, if you do win, there's a lot of talk about Jack Catterall now. That's just come to the fore, and also Richardson Hitchens, which seems to be the big one. So he's going to have the pick of the bunch because he is a name. He's exciting. He knows how to build up a fight and to sell a fight. So I like the Hitchens fight. I like that a lot. Clarissa Shields cleared after Michigan Commission admits procedural error in marijuana test. I'm sorry, she's going to sue. And she has a right to sue. Because soon as you say, even though it was marijuana, as soon as you say Clarissa fails a test, you know how much that just puts a blemish over her. And you've got to deal with that. Because you know the way we are as fans to boxers. Especially, Clarissa jumped up. You just don't, people don't obviously read the marijuana thing. They just read failed test. So I'm sorry, she's going to sue. 100%. Alicia Bal Gardner joins Jake Paul's MVP promotions. Not mad at that. Not mad at that at all. I like it. I like it a lot. I've said this quite a few times, but I feel like female boxing's in a weird space at the moment. Like, it really hit a high 3 years ago. Like when we had, and look, some people might disagree, but when we had Katie versus Amanda, and then we had Clarissa versus Savannah, and you had Alicia versus Michaela, it was boom, boom, boom. And then it's kind of died down. Clarissa really hasn't done much, unfortunately, since then. Alicia hasn't done much since then. So a lot of those people within that equation haven't really done much. And I feel like MVP seem to be the ones that are really championing winning women's fighting, like really going for it. And Alicia's a star. Say what you want about her, Alicia's a star. She can box. She's beautiful, which helps. Let's not fuck around. It helps. You guys know it does. She talks well. If they can get her the right opponents, it's great. The shame for me is that I want to see her versus Amanda. That ain't going to happen now. They're pally. If not that, then let's see what Sky Nicholson can do on the weekend, and maybe down the line we get Sky versus Alicia, which I think would be a good fight. Galauya Fai, Francisco Rodriguez interim title fight heads to March 25th Perspid. Okay, it's my birthday, by the way, March 25th. Yeah, Galauya looks so good against Sonny Edwards. You forget how good a performance that was. That was incredible. Oh, they've released the Canelo card. What do you guys make of it? It's funny how some people are like, it's the worst Saudi card ever. I'm like, do you guys actually look at Canelo fight cards and look at the undercard? Like, have you ever, before you jump, it's the worst Saudi card ever, have you had a look at what Canelo normally does as an undercard? It's abysmal. It's abysmal. This is good. This is actually a good, compared to that, this is good. I think Munguia Saras is an interesting one. Obviously, Saras knocked Munguia out. Bakoli Ajagba now seems to have turned somewhat to the favour of Ajagba because Bakoli got knocked out in his last fight. And there's some good undercard fights underneath that as well. Honestly, I don't see an issue with it. I mean, look, again, I get why people are complaining, but you got to, before you complain, you've got to look at what Canelo used to do and then sort of vent your anger then. Chordell Booker's trainer saw something special in teenage upstart. Yeah, Chordell Booker's a good fight. I feel like we're not speaking about Chordell enough because of the Ammo Williams knockout. I think people, what was that, 1 round or something? Obviously, Sebastian Fundora starts as a favourite. Fundora is probably almost a bit like Agit Caballero, probably the most disrespected in their weight class. Fundora is a unified champion. What's he got? WBC definitely, and I think the WBO, but unified champion. Coming off a really good win against Tim Tszyu. And there's some big fights out there for him. Virgil Ortiz is the one. That seems to be the one. But, I mean, he's put his hand up to so many fights. He put his hand up for the Keith Thurman fight. He thought he had that. Didn't. He put his hand up for the Errol Spence fight. It looked like all systems go. I remember when Errol got in the ring after the Tim Tszyu fight. Nothing. So, I expect this to be a good fight. I expect Sebastian Fundora to kind of do what he does, which is just overwhelm. He's got very underrated punch power. Very underrated. I think he wins. I think he stops him as well. But we'll see. And Mantas Stanionis relishing underdog status against Boots Ennis. What a fight that is. What a fight that is. Really good unification fight between, I think, the two best in the division. Can't wait for that one. Joe Joyce, Filip Hrgovic. Here we go. That's a very good replacement, you know. This could be a better fight than Joe Joyce, Dillian White. I still don't know what's happening with Richard Riakporhe. Is he still on the card? We haven't got long to... What's the date today? The 19th. That card is the 5th. I'm presenting that card, by the way. Obviously, now Queensberry and TNT are done. It's now Queensberry and DAZN. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to presenting that one. So, hopefully... we've still got David Adelaide versus Jimmy TKV. Remember, that's for the British title now that Fabio Wardley is vacated. I'm hearing a lot about Fabio Wardley, you know. You know, like some people were saying it was Kubrat Pulev, which I think it was going to be. I'm now hearing about a big name, a big American name for Portman Road. So when I hear that, I'm like, okay, American name, big. And there's only like 3, isn't there? Like 3 obvious ones. Andy Ruiz, which I put to Fabio Wardley. I don't know if the injury's okay now. I remember he injured his hand against Jarrell Miller. Deontay Wilder. That's kind of it, right? It won't be Wilder. Andy Ruiz, I think, still injured. And even if he's not, he doesn't fight. Could be Jarrell Miller. Who was supposed to be fighting over here when he was supposed to take on Chisora. So it could be that. All right. Anything else? There's a star in Omari Jones. I know it's only his first fight, but I loved his finish of that fight. I love the combination. And I like the fact that he's an Orlando boy. He came out with the old school Orlando Magic shorts. Build him. this is Eddie's opportunity now to build something special. I think there could be something special there. Just have to wait and see. All right, anything else before we wrap? All right, that's it. That's it. We are done. We are back for one more day because I'm going to Dubai for my birthday on Thursday. Back next Tuesday. So we'll do a video tomorrow. I am filming Addy and G-Man tomorrow as well. That'll go up on Friday. And then we are going to take a little bit of a pause because you need to celebrate your birthday, people.